Right now, 57% of all sales go to the business that responds to a customer first.
Wow.
Yeah, 57%. But I mean, think about what happens if you call like a local plumber today, or a roofer, or a landscaper.
Right, it goes straight to voicemail.
Exactly. There is a massive, overwhelming chance you hit voicemail. And as a consumer, you don't leave a voicemail anymore.
No, nobody does. You just hang up.
Right. You hang up, you go back to Google, and you call the next person on the list. And that single dynamic right there represents literally millions of dollars just evaporating into thin air every single day.
It's crazy when you think about the scale of it.
It really is. So today, for this deep dive, we are looking at the invisible digital workforce that is fixing that exact multi-million-dollar leak.
Yeah.
And more importantly, we're exploring how single operators, like literally one person sitting in a bedroom with a laptop,
Wow.
are using these tools to do the work of a 50-person agency.
Which is just a complete upending of traditional business mechanics,
Oh, totally.
Because when we think about building a company, we are so conditioned to think about physical mass.
Yeah.
Like you sign a commercial lease, you buy the standing desks.
Right, you post the job listings on Indeed.
Exactly. You interview candidates, and you physically watch the business take shape by the number of warm bodies filling up the room. We really like to see that human infrastructure.
Yeah, we like the organizational chart drawn out on a whiteboard. It's comforting.
It's a very comforting metric of progress, chairs filled or chairs empty. But then you step into the world of artificial intelligence and automation as it exists today, and that whole architectural blueprint is just gone.
It's completely broken.
Right. We are looking at a business landscape that is entirely invisible. It's digital, it's silent, and honestly, it is moving way faster than most people can even comprehend.
So welcome to the deep dive. Our mission today is to completely demystify this exploding world of what are being called AI agents. And we are synthesizing a massive stack of sources today. We've got practical, hands-on technical tutorials and some very sobering reality check business analyses from I think 6 different experts operating deep in the AI automation space.
Real practitioners.
Exactly. Creators who are focusing on heavy-hitting platforms like GoHighLevel, N8, Zapier, and Retail AI.
And we are not going to be floating around in high-level theory today either. We are going right into the weeds.
Bring on the weeds.
We are breaking down the exact technical blueprints you need to build digital workers that can literally answer phones, generate complex solar quotes, research enterprise leads, and close sales 24 hours a day.
But, and this is important, we are also going to aggressively cut through the internet hype. We're going to reveal the actual math, the real failure rates in corporate America, and the genuine opportunity hiding behind all those Silicon Valley buzzwords.
Because there is a lot of noise out there.
So much noise. So before we can talk about building an empire, we really have to establish what we are actually building. Because the terminology around AI gets thrown around so much, it just starts to lose all meaning.
Oh, absolutely.
We need to define what a digital worker actually is and how it differs from, those terrible chatbots we all hated like 5 years ago.
Yeah, the difference there is a fundamental paradigm shift in computing. When most people hear AI, they still think of a Google search or maybe early versions of ChatGPT.
Right, like a really smart search engine.
Exactly. You put in a prompt, and it acts like a superpowered encyclopedia to find you a static text answer. Or, like you mentioned, they think of those rigid little chat widgets from, like, 2018 that popped up on banking websites.
Oh, the worst.
The ones that could only say, please call our 1-800 number during normal business hours, the second you asked a slightly complex question.
Yeah, they were basically just interactive FAQ pages.
Right. But an AI agent is a completely different species. An AI agent actually has the ability to reason. It can do independent research, it can physically operate software tools, and it can communicate and even negotiate with other AI agents.
So it's not just retrieving text, it's actively taking action on your behalf out in the digital world.
Yes. Think of it this way. The sources we looked at use a brilliant analogy for this. Think of the old chatbot, like a waiter who can only recite the menu.
Okay.
You ask what's available, they read the list of appetizers, and that is the absolute limit of their capability.
They can't actually get you the food.
Exactly. But an AI agent is a waiter who takes your order, walks back into the kitchen, chops the vegetables, cooks the food, plates it, processes your credit card at the terminal, and brings the meal out to your table.
Wow, okay.
An agent can plan a multi-step process. It executes those steps, reflects on the results, and if the first approach fails, say your credit card declines, it dynamically tries a different approach, like asking you for a different payment method.
So it's actively problem solving in real time. That's wild. But how is that actually built? I mean, if I want to construct one of these digital waiters, what are the actual nuts and bolts? Because it sounds like magic, but I know it's just code.
It's just code, yeah. There are 5 core components that make up any AI agent. First, you need the brain.
Right.
In this ecosystem, the brain is a large language model, or an LLM. We're talking about things like GPT-4 from OpenAI, Claude from Anthropic, or Gemini from Google.
The big players.
Yeah, this is the reasoning engine. Without this core intelligence, everything else is just like office supplies sitting on an empty desk. Second is the prompt.
Okay, the instructions.
Exactly. These are the highly specific instructions written in plain English that govern the agent's personality and its boundaries. Third is memory. The agent needs a scratch pad to keep track of the conversation history so it doesn't forget what you said 3 messages ago.
That makes total sense. If it can't remember context, it can't hold a natural conversation at all. You just constantly loop.
Right. It would be a very frustrating experience. Fourth is knowledge. And this is a massive differentiator. The base LLM, the brain, only knows what it was trained on up to a certain date.
Right. It doesn't know my business.
Exactly. GPT-4 does not inherently know your specific business pricing, your return policy, or the nuances of your custom service agreements. You have to feed it custom knowledge bases like PDFs, spreadsheets, text files, so it actually has specific domain expertise.
Got it.
And fifth, and this is the most critical piece of the puzzle, are tools. Tools are what give the agent the actual ability to take action.
So if the brain is the engine, the tools are the tires actually gripping the road.
That's a great way to put it.
And I know our sources emphasize that as builders, we really only control 3 of those 5 ingredients, right? We focus on prompting, knowledge, and tools because the platform we use usually handles the LLM brain and the short-term memory automatically. We don't have to build a memory database from scratch.
Yeah, that's the beauty of modern platforms. You are freed up to focus on the architecture. But to really understand how tools work, we have to look at the underlying plumbing of the internet. We have to talk about APIs.
Okay, application programming interfaces. I'm glad we are stopping here because APIs sound terrifyingly technical to a lot of people. It sounds like something you need a computer science degree to touch, but the concept is actually beautifully simple.
It really is simple. Every single action you take on the internet uses APIs. It is just a language that software uses to talk to other software. That's it. It operates entirely on a request and response model.
Okay.
There are 2 main types of API requests you need to know to build agents.
Yeah.
First is a GET request. This is exactly what it sounds like. You are asking for data.
Like checking the weather.
Perfect example. When you check the weather app on your phone is sending a GET request to a weather server in the cloud saying, get me the temperature for Tokyo. And the server responds with the data.
Makes sense.
The second type is a POST request. This is when you are sending data outwards. When you post a tweet, upload a photo to Instagram, or send an email, you're saying, take this packet of data and do something specific with it.
So if an AI agent is going to use a tool like sending an email to a client, it is essentially just making GET and POST API calls on our behalf.
Exactly.
But here is the massive disconnect for me. How does an LLM, which at its core is just a really advanced text predictor, guessing the next word, know how to use a software API? I mean, it's not like it has eyes. It can't visually see the send button on a screen and click it with a mouse.
Right. It doesn't need eyes.
Yeah.
Because it reads the raw structure. This is where a concept called a schema comes in.
The schema.
Yeah. A schema is essentially a highly structured, incredibly rigid instruction manual for the API, written in a format that the LLM can parse. For an agent to use a tool, the schema has to explicitly tell the AI 3 things.
Okay, what are they?
First, what the tool does. It provides a clear, plain text description, like this tool checks the current weather. Second, what input the tool requires to function. For example, it might say, this tool requires a city name, and that city name must be formatted as text.
Got it.
And third, what the tool will return. So this tool will return the temperature in Fahrenheit.
Okay, I think I see the flow here. So the LLM reads that schema manual in the background. When I type into the chat, do I need a jacket in Seattle today? The reasoning engine kicks in.
Right.
It thinks, okay, the user is asking about weather. Let me check my toolbox. Ah, I have a weather tool. The schema for this tool says I need a city name. Let me extract the word Seattle from the user's chat.
Yes, exactly.
And it then formats that word, executes the GET API call to the weather server, and receives a bunch of raw, messy database code back. Then it uses its natural language abilities to translate that raw database routine into a friendly sentence like, yes, it's currently 45 degrees and raining in Seattle, so definitely grab a coat.
That is the exact anatomical process. It completely abstracts away the technical friction for the end user. The AI acts as the universal translator between human intent and machine execution.
Wait, hold on, though. You're describing this beautiful, seamless process, but I gotta be the skeptic here for a second.
Go for it.
This sounds exactly like the Zapier workflows I was building back in, 2018. We've had chatbots that trigger workflows for years now, and my experience with those was that they were super fragile.
Oh, very fragile.
Right. If a customer misspelled their city or asked the question in a weird, roundabout way, the whole system just crashed and burned. How is an AI agent actually any different from those old, rigid, if this, then that automations?
That skepticism is totally warranted because the scars from those old systems are very real. But the difference between traditional automation and modern AI agents is the difference between a train on a track and a self-driving car.
Okay, I like that.
Traditional automations are deterministic. If A happens, do exactly B. If the user misspells Seattle as S-E-A-T-L-E, the traditional code looks at it and says, I don't recognize that exact character string, and it breaks. It returns a fatal error.
Right. And then I have to go into the error logs and figure out why the email didn't send.
Exactly. It's a nightmare. But modern reasoning models are non-deterministic. They handle edge cases dynamically because the LLM actually understands the intent of the request, not just the raw text string.
So it can read between the lines.
Yeah. If a step fails, or if the data is incomplete, the agent doesn't crash. It pauses, reflects on the error, and can actively ask the user a clarifying question. If the API returns an error saying city not found, the agent reads that error, pivots, and texts the user back saying, hey, I couldn't find that city name. Did you mean Seattle, Washington? It adapts to the chaos and unpredictability of human interaction.
That is the real magic right there. It's not just following a rigid script, it's navigating the terrain. So what does this all mean for the individual? Now that we understand the underlying these LLM brains combined with API tools via schemas, let's look at how a single person can actually wield this power.
Let's do it.
We are looking at a playbook outlined by one of our sources, Onyx Single. He lays out a highly specific 7-step blueprint for building a massive solo automation agency using these exact concepts.
And this playbook is really where the democratization of technology becomes very, very real. Historically, to build the type of ubiquitous digital presence we're about to describe, you needed hundreds of thousands of dollars in venture capital.
You needed a whole team.
Yeah, you needed to hire developers, UI designers, copywriters, outbound sales reps. Today, you need a decent internet connection and $20 a month for a ChatGPT Plus subscription.
It's wild. Okay, so the first hurdle for anyone starting a business is always the idea, right? People get stuck on idea generation for months, just waiting for inspiration to strike in the shower.
Usually it never does.
Right. Step 1 of this playbook attacks that directly, and it takes about 10 minutes. The hack here is to use ChatGPT not as a search engine, but as an active brainstorming partner.
Yes.
You prompt the AI to interview you. You type something like, I want to start a one-person business. I want you to ask me a series of questions about my professional background, my technical skills, and my personal interests. Wait for my answers, and then suggest 5 highly specific business ideas. And you are looking for an idea that hits what the source calls the 3 S's: scalable, simple, and suitable.
What is so powerful about this is that the AI acts as a mirror. It forces you to articulate your actual competencies, and then it reflects them back at you in the form of viable market opportunities. It completely takes away the blank page syndrome.
Right.
An example output from our source was an AI marketing automation setup service for local service businesses. That idea hits all 3 S's. It's highly scalable because the tools do the heavy lifting, the technical setup is relatively simple once you understand the schemas, and it was perfectly suitable for someone with a background in basic digital marketing.
So imagine you have your idea. The very next hurdle used to be spending weeks going back and forth with expensive freelance designers just to get a logo and a website so you look legitimate. Now you jump to step 2 and 3, which take maybe 30 minutes total.
Fox.
You go to a free AI tool called Namelix, you type in your core keywords, and it generates hundreds of brandable business names, complete with color palettes and visual identities instantly. You find one you like, you jump into Canva, and you use their magic design feature.
That feature's incredible.
It is. You give it a prompt like, tech-savvy automation wizard theme in navy blue and gold, and it generates a professional vector-quality logo in 3 seconds.
The speed of deployment is just staggering. And for the website, the source recommends HubSpot's free AI website builder. I mean, 10 years ago, you were writing HTML or wrestling with clunky WordPress plugins.
Oh man, the plugin conflicts.
It was the worst. Now, you simply input your industry and the one-liner business description that ChatGPT just wrote for you. You click a button, and in 10 seconds, it builds a fully mobile responsive site. It generates the hero sections, the value propositions, the pricing tables, and highly functional contact forms.
Instant infrastructure.
Yeah, you spend maybe 20 minutes dragging and dropping elements, tweaking the copy slightly, and you suddenly look like a legitimate, established agency that has been around for years.
But having a pretty website sitting in the dark doesn't pay the bills. You need traffic. You need authority. Which brings us to step 4, content on autopilot. Creating content every single day across a blog, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook usually leads to massive, crippling burnout for solo founders.
You just can't keep up the volume.
No, it's exhausting. The playbook here eliminates the manual labor entirely by wiring tools together. First, you ask ChatGPT for 10 blog post ideas targeting your specific niche. Let's say, how plumbers can save time with automation. Then, you tell it to draft a 1,000-word post on one of those topics.
But here's a crucial nuance the sources point out. You do not just post the raw ChatGPT output. Everyone can spot a raw ChatGPT post from a mile away.
Oh, absolutely.
It's full of emojis, and it always starts with something like, in today's fast-paced digital landscape. It sounds robotic and hollow. The strategy is to take that draft and pass it into Claude.
Ah, Anthropic's model.
Right. Claude currently has a much more natural, empathetic, conversational tone. You ask Claude to humanize the draft, remove the fluff, and make it sound like an expert talking over a cup of coffee.
So much better. Once that humanized blog is published on your site, you introduce the automation layer using Zapier. And this is where it gets crazy. You set up a Zapier workflow that constantly monitors your website's RSS feed.
Let's quickly define an RSS feed for anyone unfamiliar. RSS is basically a digital news ticker for your website. It's a simple, standardized data format that broadcasts whenever a new piece of content is published.
Right. So Zapier is just sitting there watching that ticker tape. The exact millisecond your new blog post goes live, Zapier detects it. It catches that URL and sends it silently in the background to ChatGPT via an API call.
Automatically.
Automatically. It prompts ChatGPT with instructions. Read this new blog post and write a professional, engaging LinkedIn post summarizing the core argument. Zapier receives that text back and automatically posts it to your personal LinkedIn profile.
And it doesn't stop there.
No, the workflow continues. It tells ChatGPT to route a shorter, punchier version of the same argument, add relevant hashtags, and Zapier posts it to Twitter. Then it writes a slightly different, more community-focused angle and posts it to Facebook. One single action from you clicking publish on a blog results in massive multi-platform distribution with zero manual copying, pasting, or formatting.
It creates the absolute illusion of omnipresence. Your competitors, and more importantly, your potential clients, look at your feeds and think you have a dedicated social media manager working around the clock to maintain this level of output. But really, it's just an API request firing while you are away from the keyboard having lunch.
Exactly. So now you have content out there building passive authority, but as a new business, you can't just sit back and wait for inbound leads. You have to hunt. That is step 5. Automated outreach. The source uses a tool called Apollo.io, which features an AI persona builder.
Love Apollo for this.
It's so good. You describe your exact ideal client, let's say e-commerce chief marketing officers located in New York, working at companies with 1 to 50 employees. Apollo instantly scrubs the internet and provides a list of 1,200 highly targeted leads per month for free, complete with verified email addresses.
But generating the list is the easy part. The magic is in the execution. You don't take that list and email them manually like a caveman, and you don't dump them into a generic spammy MailChimp blast that will get instantly blocked.
No, definitely don't do that.
You export those 1,200 leads into a Google Sheet. You set up another Zapier automation that acts like a hawk watching that sheet. When it detects a new row of data, the automation triggers. Now here's a profoundly important detail the sources emphasize. You have the automation wait for 5 minutes between each action.
Why the wait? I mean, computers are fast. Why slow them down?
Because of spam filters. If your Gmail account suddenly blasts out 1,200 emails at the exact same millisecond, Google's algorithms will instantly flag your account as a malicious bot and shuts you down.
Right, your domain reputation gets destroyed.
Yes. The 5-minute delay humanizes the sending velocity. It makes it look like you are manually typing and sending each email. After the delay, Zapier uses ChatGPT to write a highly personalized cold email. It doesn't just say, "Dear Sir, Madam." It pulls the data from that specific row, referencing their exact company name, their industry, and their presumed pain points based on their job title, and sends it via your actual Gmail account.
Let's just do the math on the leverage here. If you send 1,200 hyper-personalized automated emails a month and you get even a dismal, tiny 2% response rate,
Which is very conservative.
very conservative, that is still 24 potential clients raising their hands, replying to your email, wanting to talk to you. If you get on a Zoom call and close just 5 of them on a $2,000 setup fee, that is a massive influx of revenue, all generated from an outbound engine that runs completely autonomously in the background.
But the danger of that leverage is operational collapse.
Oh, for sure.
If you suddenly close 5 new clients in a week, the administrative burden of onboarding them, sending the contracts, creating the project files, setting up the communication channels will completely crush a solo operator. You will drown in admin work and fail to deliver the actual service.
That brings us to step 6, automating operations. This is where you build the invisible infrastructure to handle scale without breaking a sweat.
The source outlines a phenomenal 6-step Zapier automation just for client onboarding. The trigger event is when a new payment is successfully received in Stripe. The best trigger there is.
Truly. The absolute second that credit card clears, Zapier springs into action. First, it automatically creates a new dedicated client folder in your Google Drive. Second, it copies your standard onboarding questionnaire template into that specific folder. Third, it drafts and sends a beautiful welcome email to the client, giving them access to the folder and including a Calendly link to book their kickoff call.
Seamless.
Fourth, it creates a new project tracking task in your Trello or Asana board, populated with all their details. And finally, it sends you a direct ping in Slack saying, "New client onboarded successfully."
That entire sequence, which would normally take a human 30 minutes of tedious clicking, copying, and pasting, runs flawlessly in under 60 seconds.
Yeah.
It handles all the administrative friction seamlessly, ensuring the client gets an immediate professional experience while you barely lift a finger. And finally, step 7 of the playbook is the 1% rule.
Right, because you can't just set this and forget it forever. The tech moves way too fast.
Exactly. You dedicate just 30 minutes a week to continuous improvement. You look at the data. You A/B test your automated email subject lines to see which gets a better open rate. You tweak your website headlines. You explore a new AI tool that might shave another 2 minutes off a process. Because the technology and the workflows compound so rapidly, improving your systems by just 1% a week yields massive, exponential advantages over your competitors over the course of a year.
It's a crazy visual. Just imagine waking up on a Tuesday, rolling over and checking your phone, and seeing that 3 new clients signed up overnight.
The dream.
Right. The clients have already received their personalized welcome emails, their secure project folders are generated, their kickoff calls are automatically booked on your calendar for Thursday, and the massive upfront invoices are paid and sitting in your bank account, all while you were literally asleep. It's like you are the conductor of an invisible orchestra.
That's it, exactly.
You aren't playing the instruments yourself. You aren't writing the raw database code or manually typing out the welcome emails. You are just standing on the podium, waving the baton, making sure the strings and the brass, the different APIs, the LLMs, Stripe, Slack, and Google Drive are talking to each other in perfect harmony.
That is a phenomenal way to look at it. You are transitioning from being a manual laborer to being an architect of systems. You are building the machine that does the work. But, this raises a very practical issue.
What's that?
What if a local business owner, say a guy running a successful landscaping company with 10 trucks, doesn't want to be an architect? What if piecing together 10 different apps with Zapier, managing API keys, and writing complex LLM prompts feels way too intimidating?
Yeah, they don't have time for that.
They just want the result without the heavy lifting. There is a massive market for done-for-you digital workers right out of the box. And that takes us straight into the world of platforms like GoHighLevel, commonly known in the industry as GHL.
GHL is an absolute beast. It is the powerhouse platform in the agency space right now. According to our sources from LOIFE Accounting and Chris Corner, for about $97 a month. And that comes with unlimited usage. By the way, GHL provides an entire suite of pre-built, specialized AI workers specifically tuned for the needs of small, local businesses.
The value proposition for a small business owner is staggering. Let's break down these specialized agents because they replace entire departments. First, you have voice AI.
Okay.
This isn't the robotic press one for sales menu of the past. This agent literally answers phone calls 24/7. It utilizes incredibly advanced text-to-speech models that sound deeply natural, complete with human-like pauses, inflections, and even filler words like and ah. It can qualify leads, answer specific questions about the business, book appointments directly onto the company's calendar, and even intelligently ask for missing information.
Right. It doesn't just follow a script. It reacts to gaps in data. For example, the AI can be talking to a customer and casually say, "Okay, I've got you down for Tuesday, but I see we don't have your email on file to send the calendar invite for your 12:15 p.m. slot. Could you please provide that for me?" It's basically indistinguishable from a highly trained human receptionist.
Then you have conversation AI.
Uh-huh.
This handles all the text-based channels. It unifies SMS, text messages, Facebook Messenger, and Instagram DMs into one single inbox, and the AI manages it. You can set it to a suggest mode, where it merely drafts potential responses for a human agent to review and approve.
Which is great for training it.
Yeah. Or, if you trust the system, you can switch it to full autopilot, where it responds instantly to customer inquiries based on standard operating procedures and FAQs you've uploaded into its knowledge base.
And don't forget, Reviews AI. This is an absolute game changer for local businesses, where Google reviews are literally life and death for revenue. This agent constantly monitors Google and Facebook. When a 5-star review comes in, it doesn't just ignore it, it automatically replies with a customized, warm thank you message, which actually boosts local SEO.
Big time.
But more importantly, if a 1-star review comes in from an angry customer, the AI intercepts it immediately with a professional de-escalating response. It will post something like, "We are so incredibly sorry to hear about your experience. This is not our standard of service. Please call our owner directly at this number so we can make this right." It actively manages and protects the online reputation of the business while the owner is physically on a job site miles away from a computer.
They also include content, workflow, and funnel AI, which can generate multi-channel marketing copy using a custom brand board to keep the tone consistent. It can build internal automations via plain text prompts and even spin up highly converting landing pages without the user ever touching a single line of code.
It's just an all-in-one suite.
But if we really want to understand the true financial power of this platform, we need to deep dive into one specific, incredibly lucrative use case that Chris Kuhner highlights: the missed call text back.
We absolutely have to unpack this missed call text back system because the statistics on this are brutal. Like we said at the top of the show, 57% of all sales go to whoever responds to the customer first. Yet most local small businesses, the plumbers, the roofers, the electricians, they let their incoming calls go to voicemail all day long.
Yep.
Why? Because they are literally up on a ladder, their hands are covered in grease under a sink, or they are operating heavy machinery. They physically cannot answer the phone. And the reality of consumer behavior today is that the customer does not leave a voicemail. They just hang up, hit the back button on their browser, and call the next plumber on Google until someone picks up.
Exactly. It's an immense, constant leak in revenue. You are spending thousands of dollars on Google ads to get the phone to ring, and then you lose the job because you were busy working.
It's tragic.
So how do we build the fix for this inside GHL? The logic is brilliant. The trigger for the automation is the status of an incoming call. The system watches the phone line, and if a call returns a status of busy, voicemail, or no answer, the workflow initiates.
But the very next step is critical, and it's all about human psychology. The system introduces a mandatory wait time of 1 to 3 minutes before doing anything.
Yes. Why is that delay so important? Because if an automated text fires back to the customer the exact millisecond the call goes to voicemail, the customer instantly knows they're talking to a bot.
Right. No human types that fast.
It breaks trust immediately. Waiting 2 or 3 minutes makes it feel authentic. It makes it feel like the business owner just climbed down off the ladder, wiped off their hands, and texted them from their personal phone saying, "Hey, sorry I missed you. I'm on a job. How can I help?"
It's all about maintaining the illusion of human presence. After that wait time, the system adds a tag in the CRM to track the lead, and then it activates the conversation AI to take over the text thread. Now, the prompt governing this AI is where the real magic happens. It's not just a generic autoresponder.
No, it's highly tuned.
Chris Kuhner shared his exact constraints for a tree trimming business he works with. The prompt explicitly says, "You are a friendly assistant for fast tree care in Dallas-Fort Worth. Talk like a real person. Keep your texts under 300 words. Wait 35 seconds between your responses. Maximum 5 responses total to prevent bot spam."
Those constraints are vital. Let's break down why. If the AI replies to a simple customer text with a massive dense block of formal corporate text, the illusion breaks. Real people text in short bursts. The 35-second delay is crucial because it mimics human typing speed. If a customer texts a complex question and the bot replies with a perfect answer in 0.2 seconds, it's obviously a machine. And the 5-response limit is a brilliant safeguard. It ensures the bot doesn't get caught in an endless, looping, unhelpful argument with a confused customer, which would just cause frustration.
Yeah, no one wants to argue with a bot.
Exactly. But beyond the prompt, the workflow requires intelligent conditional logic. You set up branches based on the outcome of the text conversation.
Right. The AI has to know how to route the interaction. Branch 1 is booked. If the AI successfully chats with the customer, collects their home address, and gets a preferred day for an estimate, it automatically tags that contact in the CRM as booked and sends a notification to the owner's phone. Job done. Branch 2 is emergency. If the AI reads the incoming texts and detects keywords like tree fell on my house or power lines, it bypasses the normal booking flow. It tags the lead as a high-priority emergency and immediately pushes an urgent alert, maybe even an automated phone call to the owner to stop what they are doing and respond.
And branch 3 is just as important. It's unqualified. If the customer is asking for services the business doesn't offer, like asking a tree trimmer to plant a flower bed, or if they're located 30 miles outside the service area, the AI politely ends the conversation. It tags them as unqualified, so the business owner doesn't waste 30 minutes driving out to a job they can't even take. It's a fully autonomous triage system protecting the owner's time.
And what's fascinating is how Chris Kerner suggests actually selling this service to local businesses. He introduces the concept of dog fooding, which is an old tech term that means using your own product to prove its value.
It is the ultimate sales strategy. If you want to sell this $500 a month missed call text-back service to a local plumber, you do not cold email them a 50-page pitch deck about AI.
They will delete it immediately.
Instantly. Instead, you use a ringless voicemail drop software to call their actual business number without making it ring.
Okay.
When they inevitably miss your call, your AI agent automatically texts their phone, starting a natural conversation.
That's genius.
You demonstrate the exact service you are trying to sell them live on their own device in real time. You expose the exact revenue leak they currently have, and then you show them a plug-and-play solution.
It's so clever. You prove the value before you even ask for money. But, this raises a really obvious question for me. If this technology is this cheap $97 a month for the software, and it's this incredibly effective at capturing lost revenue, why doesn't every single local business in the country already have this setup? Why is there an opportunity here at all?
It comes down to a massive structural technology gap in the economy. A master plumber knows absolutely everything about water pressure, local building codes, and managing a crew of apprentices. They do not have the time, the energy, or the desire to sit at a computer at 9 p.m. learning about API schemas, LLM prompt engineering, or how to build conditional branch logic in a CRM.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They are exhausted from running their actual trade. This creates a massive arbitrage opportunity for anyone willing to bridge that gap. The business owner has the cash flow and the customer base. The automation builder has the technical leverage.
It's the classic exchange of capital for convenience. I will pay you to solve this headache so I can go back to doing what I'm good at. But okay, GHL is amazing for basic, local, service-based businesses. What happens when we need to level up?
The enterprise stuff.
Exactly. What happens when you are dealing with an enterprise client, say a massive logistics firm or a national solar installer, who needs an agent to actively scrape LinkedIn profiles, cross-reference custom external databases, and execute highly complex multi-stage data logic? A $97 off-the-shelf bot just isn't going to cut it. How do the heavy hitters build custom solutions?
When you graduate to enterprise builds, you have to leave the walled garden of platforms like GHL. You need absolute granular control over how the data flows. Leah Motley's deep dive into a platform called N8N illustrates this perfectly.
Right, N8N.
Yeah, N8N is an advanced node-based automation tool that lets you wire virtually any API in the world together. And the first major decision builders face at this level is hosting.
Right, because N8N offers a cloud version, just like Zapier, where they host the software for you and charge you based on how many tasks or automations you run. But professional builders, especially those running agencies handling client data, choose to self-host their N8N instances on external servers like Hostinger. Why go through the technical hassle of setting up your own server?
Because of predictability and scale. Let me explain the economics here. On a cloud plan, you pay for usage. If you build the workflow for a client, and that client's marketing campaign suddenly goes viral, processing 10,000 data tasks overnight, you get hit with a massive surprise usage bill from the cloud provider.
Ouch.
It destroys your profit margin. By self-hosting the open-source version of NEN on a dedicated server like Hostinger, you pay a flat, predictable monthly fee for the server space,
Right.
regardless of whether you process 10 tasks or 10 million tasks. It allows you to protect your profit margins and offer flat-rate pricing when selling these systems to enterprise clients.
And the way builders actually construct these complex workflows inside ANN has changed completely, even in just the last few months. They don't write code from scratch anymore. They use AI to build AI.
Yes, Inception.
Seriously. They create customized ChatGPT personas, like an AI automation CTO, and feed it their project requirements in plain English. The LLM brainstorms the architecture, writes the complex JSON schemas required to connect the APIs, and outputs a block of code. The builder literally just copies that code block and pastes it directly into NNN's canvas. The platform then visually generates all the nodes and connections automatically.
It drastically lowers the technical barrier to entry for enterprise architecture. Let's look at the specific builds Leah Motley demonstrates, starting with Build 1, the Telegram Receipt Scanner. This is an internal tool designed to completely automate corporate expense tracking.
Expense reports are the absolute worst.
Everyone hates them. The user flow here is beautifully simple. An employee is at a business lunch. They take a photo of the physical receipt with their phone and text it to a company Telegram bot. That's it.
Here is where the mechanics are fascinating. A webhook catches that image. Let's explain a webhook quickly. A webhook is basically a digital catcher's mitt. Instead of your software constantly pinging Telegram every 5 seconds, asking, do I have a new text? Do I have a new text? The webhook just sits there passively.
Waiting.
The exact second a text comes in, the webhook catches the data and throws it into your N8N workflow. N8N then passes that image to Google Gemini 2.5 Flash.
And Gemini 2.5 Flash is crucial here because it is a multimodal model. That means it doesn't just read text, it can see and analyze images. The prompt inside N8N tells Gemini to act as a strict expense extractor. It looks at the crumpled, coffee-stained piece of paper and pulls the vendor name, the date, the tax amount, and the total cost.
Amazing.
But it doesn't just output a paragraph. It forces the output into a structured JSON data format.
JSON is basically a digital filing cabinet. It organizes the extracted text into neat, labeled folders so the next piece of software doesn't get confused. NAN takes that structured JSON data and automatically adds a new row to a Google Sheet, logging the expense. But the genius part is the conditional logic built into the workflow. NAN looks at the total cost. If the expense is under $500, it just logs it. But if the total is over $500, N8N automatically triggers a Gmail node to send an urgent alert to the CFO for manual review. The entire expense reporting process, from crumpled paper to executive approval, is completely automated via a simple text message.
Now, let's look at a much more aggressive external tool, Build 2, the Solar Lead Gen chatbot. This is a significantly more complex multi-API architecture designed to capture high-ticket leads. The user interacts with a beautiful, custom web chat widget built on a platform called Lovable.
Okay.
The chat widget asks the user for their home address and their average monthly power bill. That plain text data is caught by a webhook and sent into NAN.
This is where the APIs really flex their muscles and do things humans simply cannot do at speed. NAN takes that plain text address, say 123 Main Street, and sends a GET request to the Google Geocoding API. Think of geocoding as a translation dictionary for maps. It translates the text address into exact numerical latitude and longitude coordinates. NAN then takes those specific coordinates and passes them into the Google Solar API.
This specific API is mind-blowing. In milliseconds, the Google Solar API accesses satellite imagery of that specific house. It mathematically calculates the angle and pitch of the roof segments. It determines the exact number of usable sun hours that specific geographic location gets per year based on historical weather data. It calculates exactly how many standard solar panels could physically fit on the structure, and it cross-references state and federal tax incentives for that specific zip code.
All of this raw, dense, highly technical numerical data is dumped back into NAN, but you can't show that raw database output to a customer. They would be completely overwhelmed.
Oh yeah, it would just look like code.
So NAN passes all that data, along with the user's monthly power bill, to an LLM. The LLM's job is to synthesize all that complex math and write a friendly, highly personalized quote directly in the chat window. It says something like, Based on your roof size and your $200 power bill, we could fit 15 panels on your home, saving you roughly $1,500 a year, and it would pay for itself in 6 years. If the user's interested, the system instantly saves their contact profile into an Airtable CRM.
It provides the customized value of a 2-hour human engineering consultation in about 4 seconds. It is a massive conversion mechanism. But what if the customer prefers to speak to someone? That brings us to build 3, the speed-to-lead voice agent using retail AI.
Voice agents are wild.
They are. Let's say the user sees a Facebook ad for the solar company and calls the phone number. The retail AI voice agent answers. But it's not just saying hello. It has a highly specific qualification prompt. To be a viable lead for the human sales team, the caller must meet 3 strict criteria. They must live in Texas, they must physically own the home, and they must have $10,000 cash on hand for the deposit.
The voice agent naturally weaves these qualification questions into the spoken conversation. It doesn't interrogate them. It might casually say, "To get started and make sure we can help, I just need to verify, are you the current homeowner of the property?"
Right, very conversational.
Once the phone call naturally ends, Retail AI fires the complete text transcript of that conversation back into NAN via a webhook. NAN passes the transcript to an LLM. The LLM reads the transcript, checks the answers against the 3 strict criteria, and if all 3 are met, it updates the user's profile in the Airtable CRM from new lead to qualified.
Okay, so now we have highly qualified leads sitting in the database. But what about the human sales reps? How do we use automation to help the humans close the deal? That brings us to build 4, the sales co-pilot.
This is so smart.
This is an agent designed strictly to assist the internal team. Imagine a human sales rep is about to jump on a high-stakes Zoom call with one of those qualified leads. Instead of spending an hour frantically Googling the prospect, the rep simply types the prospect's name and company into an internal custom app.
The app triggers NAN, which unleashes an absolute swarm of APIs in the background. It fires the SERP API, which essentially runs an automated, highly targeted Google search on the prospect. It uses the Amplify API to scrape their entire public LinkedIn profile, their job history, their education, their recent posts. It uses the Firecrawl API to aggressively scrape the entire website of the company they work for. It pulls all of this disparate, messy data from across the internet back into NAN and feeds it into the LLM.
And the LLM synthesizes everything into a tight, bulleted, highly readable pre-call briefing. It gives the sales rep a summary of the prospect's background, identifies their company's core pain points based on their website copy, and even suggests a specific angle of attack for the sales pitch based on a post the prospect made on LinkedIn 3 days ago.
That is basically a superpower.
It completely eliminates hours of tedious manual research and allows the human rep to walk into the call armed to the teeth with contextual intelligence.
If we zoom out and look at all 4 of these builds, we start to see the true compound effect of AI automation. Imagine a single business utilizing all these systems simultaneously. They use the custom chatbot to capture the lead on their website at 2 a.m. when everyone is asleep. They use the voice agent to follow up and rigorously qualify that lead the very next morning. And they use the sales co-pilot to arm the human closer with the exact psychological research needed to win the deal. It is a fully integrated, automated pipeline from the first click on an ad to the signed contract.
It's exactly like building with digital Lego blocks. You don't need to know how the plastic is manufactured, meaning you don't need to know how to write the complex base code of the Google Solar API. You just need to understand the architecture. You need to know how the Solar API block snaps into the LLM block, which snaps perfectly into the Airtable CRM block. You are an architect assembling pre-built, infinitely powerful components into massive operational structures.
And because these components are infinitely scalable, the bot can talk to one person or 10,000 people simultaneously without asking for a raise. The leverage an individual possesses right now is genuinely unprecedented in economic history.
It really is.
Which brings us to the elephant in the room. We've seen the incredible, undeniably powerful nature of these builds. Naturally, because the leverage is so high, the internet is absolutely flooded with 18-year-old gurus sitting in rented Lamborghinis, aggressively claiming they make $300,000 a month running AI automation agencies from their laptops on a beach. It is time for a gold rush reality check.
We definitely need to talk about this.
We need to look at the real numbers, the actual market demand, and the legitimate business models, because it is not all sunshine and automated millions.
The hype is deafening, but we have to separate the signal from the noise here. Let's start with the actual market demand, because the demand is genuinely massive, and that is what fuels the believability of the hype. Let's look at the statistics. There are roughly 1.7 million businesses in the United States alone that generate between $500,000 and $10 million a year in revenue.
The mid-market businesses.
Right. The roofing companies with fleets of trucks, the regional accounting firms, the medium-sized logistics hubs. These businesses are the absolute engine of the economy. Surveys show that 66% of employers at these companies actively want AI skills integrated into their workflows immediately because they know they will fall behind if they don't.
But,
And this is the crucial data point, only a shocking 12% of workers have taken any formal AI training. Liam Motley points out that the ratio is roughly one capable AI service provider for every 1,100 businesses that desperately need help.
so the demand completely outstrips the supply. It sounds like shooting fish in a barrel. But here is the massive reality check. Just throwing a shiny AI chatbot at a business does not magically fix their operational problems. In fact, an MIT report highlighted in our sources shows that an astonishing 95% of corporate AI projects actually fail.
95%, that's huge.
95%. And they don't fail because the underlying LLMs are stupid or because the APIs suddenly break.
No, they fail because of the human element. They fail because these tech companies drop a complex piece of software into a company and then just walk away. They lack human implementers.
Exactly.
If you build an incredible end-to-end workflow for a logistics company, but the 50-year-old warehouse managers refuse to use it because it changes the way they've done their jobs for 20 years, the project fails. Businesses have messy internal data silos, intense employee resistance to change, and constantly evolving processes. The technology is only 10% of the battle. Molding it to fit the messy, human, day-to-day reality of the company is the other 90%.
And that massive gap, the gap between the theoretical capability of the API and the actual adoption by the employees, is where the true sustainable career opportunities lie. There are essentially two viable paths for someone entering this space who wants to build a real business, not just sell a course. The first path is the builder.
The builder is the highly technical path. This is the person who genuinely loves the mechanics. They love diving into NEN, wiring up complex multi-stage APIs, writing custom schemas, and spending hours debugging messy JSON data payloads when a webhook misfires.
They are the mechanics under the hood.
Exactly. Builders typically don't love cold calling or sales. They source their clients by showcasing their deep technical prowess in niche online communities like school groups or Discord servers, or by taking high hourly rate contract work on platforms like Upwork.
And the second path is the consultant. This person might not be deeply technical at all. In fact, they might actively hate staring at JSON code. But they deeply understand business operations, human psychology, and value creation. They act as the translator between the business owner and the technology.
A very valuable skill.
A consultant goes into a mid-sized plumbing business, sits down with the owner, runs a full AI audit, maps out their massive operational inefficiencies on a whiteboard, and designs a strategic automation plan to save them money.
Then, the consultant subcontracts the actual technical heavy lifting to the builders. They manage the client relationship, they handle the change management with the employees, and they drive the strategy while the builder manages the servers and makes sure the APIs are firing correctly. It's a classic agency model.
Both of those paths are incredibly lucrative, but we must introduce a severe dose of reality here regarding the income claims floating around the internet. Zubair Trabzada, who is one of the most respected, technically proficient, and frankly honest educators in the NEN space, released a video specifically to debunk the overnight multimillionaire myth.
Yeah, that video was needed.
He states flat out that these teenagers on TikTok claiming to sell $300,000 a month in automation services to small businesses are simply lying.
It's a complete fabrication designed entirely to sell you access to their private community. Zubair is incredibly transparent about the economics of the space. He notes that legitimate, hard-working agency owners are making fantastic money. A highly successful solo operator, grinding every day, might be pulling in $10,000 to $30,000 a month in recurring revenue and setup fees. But hitting $300,000 a month in B2B service revenue is a completely different universe.
Right. To hit those numbers, you aren't selling to local roofers, you are selling to Fortune 500 companies. And enterprise sales require massive corporate sales teams. They require grueling 6 to 9 month sales cycles, endless legal reviews, brutal security and compliance audits to make sure your self-hosted N8N server isn't going to leak their customer data, and years of grinding out a bulletproof reputation.
It is a legitimate, rigorous B2B service business. It is not a lottery ticket you scratch off on your laptop over the weekend.
And that is the crucial takeaway for anyone looking at this space. The return on investment for the business purchasing these services is undeniable. A business owner is happily going to trade a recurring $97 to $500 a month software cost, plus your $2,000 one-time setup fee, because it literally replaces the need to hire a $60,000 a year administrative employee.
Or in the case of the GoHighLevel missed call text back system, it captures $100,000 a year in lost sales that were previously evaporating into the ether.
The financial value you are providing is incredibly real.
The value is absolutely there, but selling B2B services requires deep trust, professional competence, and absolute reliability. It does not come from flashy YouTube claims. Let's use some common sense. If those 19-year-olds were actually making $300,000 a month running complex, mission-critical automation systems for enterprise clients, they physically would not have the time to sit in a bedroom editing YouTube videos, begging you to buy their $50 Discord access.
Exactly. The real operators, the people actually making the money, are too busy building architectures and servicing their clients to make daily vlogs. Exactly. The opportunity in AI automation is profound, perhaps the biggest shift since the internet itself, but it requires the maturity to treat it as a serious engineering and consulting discipline. The individuals who treat this with respect, who take the time to deeply learn how the APIs interact, who master prompt engineering, and who understand the messy reality of business logic, are the ones who are going to secure a massive, insurmountable economic advantage over the next decade.
So true.
So let's bring this all back home and recap this massive journey we just went on. We started by dismantling the old idea of rigid chatbots and understanding the new dynamic reality of AI agents, digital workers powered by LLM reasoning brains, equipped with custom knowledge and connected to the physical world via API tools.
Yeah, the waiters that actually cook the food.
Exactly. We explored how a single individual can leverage tools like ChatGPT, Zapier, and Apollo to build a one-person empire that automates content distribution, cold outreach, and administrative operations at a scale that was physically impossible 5 years ago.
We then looked at the plug-and-play power of platforms like GoHighLevel, demonstrating how an AI can instantly rescue lost revenue through intelligent, naturally paced missed call text-back systems. From there, we scaled up to the heavy-hitting world of enterprise engineering with NEAN, dissecting how complex APIs like Google Geocoding, Google Solar, and Retail AI can be orchestrated to generate, rigorously qualify, and prep sales leads completely autonomously.
And finally, we grounded all of this incredible, seemingly magical technology in the sobering reality of the market. The demand is massive, but the failure rate of corporate implementation is staggeringly high. The real money in this gold rush is made by serious builders and consultants doing the hard, unglamorous work of fixing human business inefficiencies, not by chasing get-rich-quick schemes on social media.
Whether you are an employee looking to become completely irreplaceable to your boss by learning how to build these internal copilots for your department, or an aspiring entrepreneur looking to sell these speed-to-lead systems to local plumbers and national solar companies, the 10-year head start is happening right now. The window to be an early adopter is rapidly closing, but the window to be a master implementer is wide open.
Which brings us back to that invisible architecture we talked about at the very beginning of the show. The business landscape is no longer just physical desks and chairs. It is a complex, silent web of digital workers talking to each other. But I want to leave you with one final, slightly terrifying, but entirely provocative thought.
Uh-oh.
Today, we spent this entire time talking about building AI agents for businesses to talk to human customers. We build bots to text humans, we build voice agents to call humans, and we build chatbots to qualify humans. But what happens in 3 years when a human customer uses their own personal AI agent to call the local plumber? We are rapidly approaching an internet where a business's AI agent will pick up the phone and directly negotiate with the consumer's AI agent over pricing, availability, and scheduling, executing the entire transaction in milliseconds in the cloud. How do you market a service? How do you build a brand when the buyer on the other end of the transaction isn't a human with emotions, but just another highly optimized algorithm trying to get the best price? Something to think about as you start building your digital workforce.